Guys, good Wednesday morning. My name is Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk here on the I Love CVille Network. Thank you kindly for joining us. We are live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love CVille Network, comprised of every social media platform known to mankind. Dynamic element of this show is you, the viewer and listener, can help shape the conversation with your perspective in the comments section on any social platform possible. So join us, share the show, offer some thoughts and guidance, and help shape the conversation. Judah Wickhauer is our director. The Wednesday edition of this program is presented by Ross Mortgage, a brand, a business, a team you can count on. Ross Mortgage and their leader, Scott Mortgage Morris.
Happy Wednesday, everybody. Excited to be here. A lot of stuff going on, some interesting things we can talk about. Just hope everybody's having an awesome day.
It's great to have you. Keith Smith in the house as well.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this new program, but Jerry, we have a rock star with us, so why don't we introduce our rock star?
Ivy Haines in the house, Real Estate 3's Ivy Haines. She had a month to talk about, and we will get to that in a matter of moments. But before we do, Ivy, please introduce yourself to everybody that's watching the program.
All right, well, thank you for having me. My name's Ivy Haines, and I am a Charlottesville native. I just got into real estate last year, so it's been a year next month.
Nice.
Before then, I was in the wine industry locally, so love wine tasting, love all that Charlottesville has to offer with the restaurants and wineries. I'm happy to be here.
She is someone who absolutely loves Charlottesville and Central Virginia. Scott, just a fantastic member for today's panel.
Yeah, absolutely. So outside of just being super dialed into kind of what's going on in the community, what do you like most about the business in general?
Well, I love the people, of course. So, I love working with my clients. First-time home buyers are awesome to work with, but so is everyone else, of course. And then an important part to me, and my favorite part maybe, is working with other agents because of the communication you have with them and making good relationships with them, and it makes it way more fun and easy to work with when everyone is getting along and gets to know each other.
We're in a relationship business. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. How do you like finding new clients, and what's been your most successful path in bringing people into your world?
Well, my mother was a real estate agent for over 20 years, Gracie Haines, and so
she's watching right now.
Shout out.
Gracie Armstrong Haines. I see you, Gracie.
Of course she is. She's my number one fan. So she has
I
been.
Hope so.
Yeah.
I know, hopefully. She has been invaluable with her contacts, and she's been promoting me since I started. But also just, I'm from here. People move back. Everyone comes back to Charlottesville. So I'm been very thankful to have a lot of Facebook friends that reach out to me and that just know me as a person. Hopefully they want to work with me as a realtor too.
Your social media game is on point.
Thanks.
No, seriously, someone who's in the social media game to pay the bills, I give you props on the content you create, and you understand the concept of championing and spotlighting other people and other brands and other businesses. And it's driven significant engagement across your social platforms. I want to applaud you with that and ask you kind of the inspiration of why you love, because I know why I like to, but I love to learn from other folks, why you love highlighting the area so much.
Because it's the best place to live.
Well
obviously.
said.
I know my little slogan is born here, raised here, live here. And so it is the best place to live. We have amazing restaurants. My dad and I like to go out to eat. We have been going once a week, and we would frequent, Tavola used to be our favorite restaurant. Ooh. And then we would switch on to Public, and then we'd switch to Oakhart, and then we've tried almost every restaurant, and we get stuck in ruts, so we'll just keep going to the same ones, and then I'll tell them we need to try something else.
The best thing ever. And I'm just going to say it, the best thing ever is dad and daughter dates.
Yes.
best thing ever. I just did. Our daughter was in from Seattle, ran the 10-miler with us, and we went out on a couple of daddy-daughter dates, and that makes the world go round. But there's a little thing that most folks don't know about you, because you and my wife do this regularly. What do you two guys do all the time when you guys talk? What language do you use?
We speak in German.
So Ivy,
You're fluent?
Ein bisschen, yeah.
Wow, get out of town. How did that come about?
So I have a love of Switzerland, and so my mom took me to Europe when I was in college, and we went to Switzerland, and I deleted all of the photos from Switzerland.
Ooh.
And so when I came back, I rebooted my phone. I don't know what happened. I screamed in horror. And so then I decided I needed to go back and retake all of those photos.
Well, Swiss German's a little bit different than German.
Very different.
And then that, but it's funny because every once in a while Ivy and Yonna will speak, and very rarely does Yonna speak German, usually with a family. And I was like, oh, cool, so how's your sister doing? I barely speak English, and no, I said it was Ivy Haines, so that was really cool that you guys, a lot of folks might not know that about you. You are bilingual. Is it just 2 languages?
Yeah,
you
just
speak? Yeah.
Just two.
Just two.
Just
yeah.
two.
Just two,
Yeah.
Scott. Just two. So, Scott Morris, where do you want to
working on
begin
one.
here?
What's that?
Where do you want to begin here?
I don't know. What's a good place to start?
Well, I've got a starting point.
You got a starting point?
I do.
All right, tell me.
I need you to educate me and everybody on this new program you have, Lock and Shop, because in today's world and interest rates moving up or down or however you want to look at
I
it.
think they're going up.
This is
yeah.
we've been talking about that for years. There's only one way these can go, is up. So tell me a little bit about that, and tell those who are watching and listening how that can help them.
So I posted on social the other day just kind of a brief explanation of, if you're concerned about rising rates, what's that going to do to your qualification, your payment? We'll lock a rate and we've got, depending on how dialed in you are to like making offers at the moment, 70 days, 90 days, 120 days. At 120 days, we actually offer a float down option in the last 2 weeks, meaning if rates were to improve instead of continue to worsen in that last 14-day period, we could float down 100 basis points. Which
That's
is
only over 120 days.
So up to 120 days, and in the last 14 will float down.
Got it.
70 and 90, we're committed to whatever we lock in at, but you know that your payment isn't going to change based on what the market does. So we've seen in the last 90 days, we've seen the market move full 2 percentage points. So we where we were at 2.875. I actually had some people locked. Now we're at 4.875, and for some cases in the 5s, depending on your situation.
So Ivy and I have clients potentially. Is this going to cost us anything?
There's no cost to the borrower for the lock.
So what do you think, Ivy? Is that a good tool for your
Yeah.
buyer's client? And what do you think about that?
I mean, I think that's great that you can lock it in, because that's the scary part, is that you don't know when your offer is going to be accepted.
Well, and we're searching, right? We're showing homes that have 40 showings over a weekend, and I don't know how many offers that you have put in that got turned down, and that what your ratio is on that, but I'm sure that there's quite a few, right? Of rejections before you actually get it. So this could potentially take, which is what excited me about why I wanted to kick the show off with this. This excites me because when we work with clients, Ivy, we're like trying to reduce their concerns, one item at a particular time. So if we can say, use Scott, and we have your rate locked in for 120 days, that whole concern about interest rates going up is taken off the table. You also have the benefit of it going down.
Yeah, before we get into the weeds, why don't we just talk about the business? I mean, how's your business going? Are you humming?
It's going well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Talk to us, put in perspective how it's been 2022.
Well, so far it's been really good. I had
Yeah.
4 closings this month, which is way beyond my goal for my first year.
That's legit.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
In a tight inventory market? Mm-hmm. I mean, talk to us about the pulse on the street. I mean, what are your buyers? What are your? I mean, I don't know if you're working with any sellers here. What are the people saying about inventory being so tight, about interest rates, about where things are headed? Just relay some anecdotal that you're experiencing working with folks in the Central Virginia market.
Well, they just need to be prepared for the market and how it is, and not, have their expectations not to say too high, but just to know what they're getting into. And, they will be sitting for like a week and not see a house that they like, and then maybe two will pop up on the weekend, and we'll put one offer in or see what happens. And there is a lot of frustration, of course, with these first-time home buyers, because you don't want to have the buyer's remorse and get something that you didn't want just because it was available,
What's a collaborative part of helping people set expectations? Like, so for me personally, if you send me a lead, and I educate them in the beginning to, look, hey guys, it's really competitive. If Ivy's letting you know that you need to go over ask for a property, it's not because she's looking to make $200 more in her commission. It's because she wants to put you in the best position to win. And then on top of that, explaining, hey, you most likely will be up against multiple offers, and hearing that from all the partners that they have in the transaction helps really set them up for the best expectations, because that's a lot of what we do is expectation management and making sure people are educated in the process. Is there any part of that when working with somebody that you really like that you would help guide your other partners in saying, hey, look, this is this person's biggest concern, and to help everybody deal with it?
Well, it definitely takes a team. So if they're definitely talking to their lender and need to know how much they can afford, and then in this market, maybe you look a little lower. That way you can put in that escalation clause and you can go up higher and be competitive. And so it really comes down to not just the price, but also the terms, and knowing in this market, since it's a seller's market right now, knowing what's best for what they would like. And if you can offer that and that's okay with the buyer, then see what the seller wants and try to make it work for them in creative ways.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's something that I think that we try to do as a team with whomever the agent partner is, to say, hey, look, this is the most that they're pre-approved for. This is what I'm going to send the pre-approval at. That way we've got some room for you guys to shop, and if they need to go over, we know that we can get that closed.
Right.
So if I remember correctly, you had 4 transactions this month, 4
Yes.
contracts representing the buyer or the seller?
All 4 were the buyer.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about obviously, we can't talk about the details of the transaction, right, because it hasn't closed yet. But talk to us a little bit
Actually,
about.
all 4 of those were closed.
Oh, she could talk about them. Dude, high five. All 4 closed, commissions in hand.
Oh,
Yes.
and
Oh my
recorded.
gosh.
And recorded, right?
Yes.
Good job.
She's
Alrighty.
drinks and Tavla on Ivy. 4 closed deals over
So
here.
have to
my
say-
notes just changed.
Very well done, Ivy Haines.
You can't
So-
forget taxes.
Okay,
My mom's
that's-
going to laugh at me from that.
Don't forget about Uncle Sam.
Don't forget.
So tell me about the buyer profiles. Tell me who they were. Not actual individuals, but were they? Because we're looking at a report that just came out. 43% of all the sales last year were millennials. What was the age group? What was the buyer profile on those 4 buyers?
So we had 2 sets of millennials, so 2 first-time home buyers in different price ranges. Both of them we put multiple offers in, and we may have been working, I think I did work with them for at least 4 months.
Prior
so
to.
Wow.
It was exciting. It was 1 week of, I think I had 3 under contract in 1 week.
Wow.
But it was a long process. So, it's not, I don't know.
So
We
what-
worked hard, is what I'm saying.
So great. So what were
Yeah.
some of the roadblocks? And I think that's what Scott was trying to get to. What were some of the roadblocks on that from a buyer's representative? And so did I hear this right? They were all millennials or 4 buyers?
2 of the couples were
Two
millennials.
were millennials,
yeah.
and the other were a little bit older?
One was a retired couple, and then the other one, they are renovators. So it was a rehab project.
A flip project.
So how about this question for you guys? How many agents in this market where inventory is ridiculously tight have closed 4 deals in a 21-day period?
Yeah.
But when were those deals written? January,
About-
February? January,
Yeah,
late
end of
January.
January, early
so
February.
So they are 2022 contracts.
They were all about 30 to 45 days.
Wow, good for you.
I mean, how many have done for representing buyers in this inventory tight market?
That's the reason I want to
How
bring
many
it
do
up.
you think have?
That's the reason I want to bring it up, because
I don't think many.
that's a hard thing to accomplish, and that's what I'm trying to pull and trying to have this conversation about is what was the secret sauce that got those 4 contracts ratified on that end of it, and then maybe how many offers did you put in for each one? But because people think that this can't happen, and you're an example that it can happen. You can win,
Yeah.
but how? What's
How
the
are you winning?
Yeah,
There
that's
you go.
deal?
There you go. That's the question.
Don't
I'm
give
trying
up.
to ask.
I think that's the best advice is don't give up. Keep looking. I mean, everyone says you have to tell yourself it's not meant to be, and just, keep looking and it'll come up. And so I think the 2 millennial couples, we had put in at least 4 offers.
Okay.
I think more than that for one of them. We were looking since July.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it was frustrating. We came very close, and you get those calls that say you're number 2. That's really hard to handle,
Sure.
or do you want to be a backup? And then for the renovators, that one I kind of had to keep calling, and the other agent would come and get in contact with me and say, like, can we make it work? Can we make it work? And that was more of a longer process, not so straightforward. And the other one was land.
Okay.
So
So it's
that
going to
one
be a
was
build to be?
interesting. Yeah, they're going to build in the future. But that one was all over the place. Like, it
How
was
was walking the land?
Oh, goodness. Yeah. It got better. So that was funny. So I was telling Scott yesterday that my first showing ever was land.
That's awesome.
So, no.
Why?
No, because I didn't know what a survey or a plat map looked like. We were just wandering around the street and the field, and I felt very foolish. They don't train you for that in real estate class, so.
Well, I'm going to throw out there, I'm teaching a class about land, new construction and land purchase, so you'll get an invitation.
I'll be there.
You'll get an invitation to
I've
that.
gotten better at it for sure.
Well, I'm sure you did outstanding, and you have mom helping you.
Oh, yeah.
So you're not really doing it on your own. You have an awesome,
Oh, yes.
awesome. But of the millennials, to stay focused on the millennials, what did they buy? Were they detached? Were they attached? And where? General areas.
They were both detached.
Uh-huh.
So one was up in Barboursville, and the other one was in Charlottesville.
Okay. We've been
Nice.
talking Barboursville a lot, Scott Morris.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's one of the areas, Barboursville, Green, that where we still see some more affordability compared to the closer you get to Charlottesville, Albemarle, with just more expensive price points.
What are you seeing? And let's recognize some of the folks that are giving you some props right now. First, we got Orange County High School's finest and Brittany Moore watching the program right now. She says, "Go Ivy," of the Sasha Farmer team right now.
Yay.
A lot of people don't know this about Brittany. And Brittany, I would say your last name right now, but do you know is it Kozuch?
Kozu?
Kozuk? Okay.
I think.
She was a
Sorry if I got it
force in basketball in the Jefferson District for Katie Brunel
Oh, yeah?
and the Orange County Hornets. Did you go to Charlottesville High School?
No, I went to Albemarle.
You went to Albemarle High School. She was one of the best basketball players in the Jefferson District, Brittany Moore was. But she's giving you some
That's
props right
awesome.
now. You have family giving you props.
Wait, can I give her props?
Yeah, please.
I'm pretty sure she just went under contract with 3 properties yesterday.
Oh,
Brittany!
In one day.
Did you see that
That's
on Facebook?
amazing.
One
Yes.
day.
That's
and,
crazy.
And I'm actually going to see Brittany tomorrow because her and I are in the same broker training class. And
Mm-hmm.
if you don't think, hey, Brittany, so give you a little heads up, you're going to get a tap on your shoulder to come sit in Ivy's seat. And
Did
talk a
you?
little
Can you
bit about-
confirm that? Is that confirmed?
Oh, yeah.
She went under
Yeah.
contract in one day in her 3 properties?
Yes.
So
It's
we
amazing.
have you guys we're all kind of in the same age bracket here. You're a year in, and you closed 4 deals in a 2.5 week period of time. Can you offer perspective, the validation it gave you, and the sense of accomplishment? I mean, because I would say now granted you have family in the business, but this is pretty monumental here, right?
Right. I'm very happy about it, of course. But it also, we did work hard, and you can't stop working is kind of what I've learned, is that just because you have these successes, you can't just sit back and stop. You have to keep going, and you got to find some new clients and get them their houses. So, but I am proud of myself for sure, and definitely had the help of my mom.
Well, a little shout out to Brittany while she's still watching, and to you, Ivy. Yonna and I and my daughter ran the 10-miler, and one intersection was Brittany coming up Grady Avenue on that end of it, on that tough hill, which is a horrible hill on that end of it, and Brittany was cheering us on, and then the next intersection was you. Then after that, it went downhill. There was nobody else cheering us on.
And you guys are going to love this. It just shows you the power of social media when used for the good. Brittany is getting props on a different Facebook page from Jamie Turner, the mayor of Gordonsville, who loves to rep the pep. He loves to rep the pep. And he says, Brittany got us closed. She's a superb realtor. Ooh. He's literally watching on a different page, giving props to someone we're talking about here on the show. So Scott, let's get you in the mix. What do you, with the folks that you're dealing with, the agents that you're dealing with, what are you seeing from a deal flow standpoint? I mean, she's got a handful herself. We're talking Brittany's got a handful herself. What do you see in deal flow with some of the colleagues and associates that you're dealing with?
I had somebody ratify 4 on Monday. So I mean, it's out there. We're seeing some more inventory come on. A lot of activity, still super competitive. That's the biggest thing is dealing with, because as she mentioned, some of these people she's been working with since July. So when you get people who've made offers over and over again, you see their mindset change in how they want to offer. Even in the best of circumstances, we all like to say sometimes it just takes losing something to see how the process is going to work, and that's even more so now than ever, because at the end of the day, especially if they've got parents or some other third-party negotiator working with them, telling them, you need to get a deal. Right now, what constitutes a deal is different than maybe what constituted a deal 2 years ago. And then also their expectations about what they can or want to do with the property. Is it, are they looking for something that's been on market for a month because it's got some serious deficiencies and they're willing to go in and do a rehab loan and, be some time before they can actually get into the property? All of these things make a difference. But the big thing is, and I think we talked about that last week, and I'll probably close with it again today, but just like Ivy said, the number one thing is be persistent. Just because you thought it was the one and you didn't get that house doesn't mean the next one's not really the one for you. If it didn't work out, there's a reason.
So, Ivy, are you finding with your buyer clients that what Scott just outlined, I know with us, they're starting to understand the likelihood of them getting their first offer is pretty minimal, right? Mm-hmm. They understand walking into it that this is going to be a persistence path. But what tools do you use to communicate with folks? Are you texting, or you phone calling, or are you having coffees with them, or are you sending them personal notes? How are you encouraging your client to stay in the game? Because they need to stay in the game.
Mostly texting, but of course phone calls and emails, do it all. It really helps to be in person though, and to have those conversations. And I think a lot of the time, what I've seen is that it might take the first rejection to really understand the market.
So I'm going to throw this out there. Maybe Brittany and some of the realtors.
You got a lot of them watching now.
That can chime in on this, and I'm going to probably I tend to get myself into trouble a little bit, Ivy, on this end of it. But I want to throw something out to you, and I want you to give me your reaction to it. I took a client out to show a couple of homes in Charlottesville, and a couple of them had 15-minute showing times. How do you feel about that? And realtors on there, chime in. I mean, are we doing our clients justice? Are we doing the sellers justice?
You hearing about this, Scott?
Yeah, I've seen it. I mean, it goes back to that. I know the TikTok that everybody saw where the dude talks about he's got the apple for sale.
I saw that TikTok.
Yeah. And that's kind of like.
Did you see that?
I don't think I did.
This is good. Tell them about this.
So the guy comes in and he's like, I've got an apple for sale. And he's like, okay, well, I'm in the market for an apple. When can I take a look at it? It's an apple. You know what it is. You either want it or you don't. And then somebody else comes in and they make a $500,000. He's like, is it even worth that? And then he kind of comes in as different characters and bids it all the way up. And then somebody comes in, $1 million. And he goes, what? I'm from California. It's the cheapest apple I've ever seen. But the whole thing is like.
But is that healthy?
No, it's not healthy. It goes back to, I had a whole conversation, supply and demand conversation with a builder this morning, like on talking about, we were talking about price points, and it came down. I was like, look, dude, there's just, when you've got all these people who have come to an age, a demographic that needs to buy a home for whatever reason. They're having babies, they're getting married, they're making this first life decision, and there's absolutely no supply. That's where we are. It's creating these less than ideal entry points for a lot of people.
So is that pendulum ever going to swing?
Yes.
Well, and the thing that he brought up, and then Ivy, we'll get you in the mix, is you brought this up a couple weeks ago. What is this going to do to the millennials that are going through it now?
Yeah.
When they have to go and sell their house that they just bought? How is that going to change their mindset? I mean, they're essentially going through, were we talking about this with Valerie?
Yeah.
They're essentially going through pledging a fraternity or sorority when they're getting hazed, this process. How is this hazing that they're going through buying these houses going to impact their mindset when it's their time to sell the house that they just bought in this ridiculously competitive market?
So how are they going to treat their buyers?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. And that's what
Could this be the
That's
norm?
what professionals come. That's where everybody who does this for a living who can then go say, hey, look, things are a little bit different now. You still, there's a lot of appreciation here, but where you were told that closing costs wasn't on the table. Now it's something that you might want to give to move on from this to the next step and take the equity that you've accrued in the home and go get something else. And maybe that makes it better for you on the buy side of the next transaction. So that's a job for us to, just like now, to educate your clients and so that they're getting the best transaction possible. Given what you do to educate them.
Well, that's what Ivy joined us with a conference last weekend. I've been doing this for 3.5 decades, and I know without a doubt this will change. And now if you're in the business, if you're a real estate agent, if you're a realtor watching this will change. That dynamics will change. We're in the world we're in right now, and we need to take care of our clients, Ivy and Scott, the best that we can. But part of what we're going to start talking about here on future shows is what is it going to take when this pendulum moves, what skill sets you're going to need to help manage it, because it will change. There's no doubt about it. It's a matter of when, right? And then, as Jerry was saying, then this whole different mindset. There's always this little period of time between a buyer's market and a seller's market, and a seller's market and a buyer's market, where the buyer or the seller thinks they're in charge, and it's a little bit of a workout on it. But
it's a personality thing too.
It's totally a personality thing. But I've been babbling. What do you think, Ivy? Jump in.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've been in real estate since April, so I kind of entered in this extreme seller's market, but also awesome buyer's market if you can get a house, because interest rates were so low. So I look forward to seeing it switch. I think it'll be interesting, but it is hard to see that it will. But in talking to my mom with her experience, she's seen it flop so many times, and it's just overnight. It's suddenly different. And so
it's not going to be a crash. It's going to be different, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we need to have the skill sets to see that coming and be prepared for it to take care of our clients, because at the moment we're dealing with 15-minute showings, which just blows my mind.
Right.
What do you make of that? What do you make of 15-minute showings?
That's not enough time.
Yeah, it's insane. Obviously it's what the seller Actually, I've got a Sasha Tripp coming in 2 Fridays from now. On that, we're going to be talking a little bit about this end of it. But yeah, it's insane. I don't know how we can do either the buyer or the seller justice with that. In our office, we do minimum 30 minutes, preferably 45-minute showing.
So here's the perspective from an agent about 15-minute showings, and then I'm going to get out of your guys' way here. My favorite is overlapping showings. She doesn't mind. It's Amy Lynn, the 15-minute showings. It's always nice to show a house and have 3 other agents in the house and their clients as well. I will take 15-minute showings any day of the week. 15-minute showings any day of the week, she says.
Yeah, well, and I respect that, and she's a pro, without a doubt. But then you get into this weird place of clients meeting each other and, what's said and what's not said. And we have our fiduciary responsibility to our clients, and ethics kind of kicks in a little bit. The way I've done that in that showing is I met with the agent that was coming behind me, and I said, look, we're going to be on the first floor, you're going to second floor, and we've kind of worked our way around it, which kept our clients not connecting, because it can get a little weird. I've been doing this long enough that when you get 2 set of buyers in a room, some very weird things that shouldn't be happening sometimes happens.
This is an interesting comment that's come in. This is from a mom that helped a daughter buy a condo. And Scott, why don't you take the first lead on this one? She asked that I did not use her name, but she offered very detailed experience of what happened. She says, I don't want my name used, but I helped my daughter buy a condo in Northern Virginia in October. We found a decent realtor. I watched the listings hourly. My daughter lost her first offer. She came in with a full offer of $435,000 on the second place as quickly as she could after viewing the condo. Limited inspection, at least $100,000 down, with full loan approval, up to $600,000. They bid, the seller agreed. She has already spoken to another realtor who contacted her daughter after closing, and she has been told she could put the condo she just bought back on the market for $50,000 more than she just purchased the condo for. The mom continues and says, I think being approved for $600,000 helped. The inspection was done 4 days after the offer, and she closed in a little less than 30 days. She could not hesitate, or she would not have gotten the deal. And her daughter's 26.
All my Northern Virginia contracts are 21 days. That's what that is as far as the timeline. Now, as far as her being contacted from a realtor about putting it on the market for $50,000 more, I don't know. Like, there's so much. Post-closing aggressive, depending on where you are, of all sorts of things, whether it be mortgage companies going, let's refinance you, or another agent saying, I can now sell it for more. A grain of salt. Like, what are you going? Let's say she sells it. Where's she going to go from there? Like, and how much? And someone saying they can do something and someone executing are 2 entirely different things.
Amen, brother. Amen. That's show me the money.
Yeah.
Show me the proof that you can do this. I will tell you, Jerry, when you read that, what went up my spine? A chill.
Yeah?
You know why?
Because it's a sharky world right now.
No, that reminds me a lot of 2004, 5, and 6.
I mean, to me, that's more like this bottom feeder trigger lead.
Yeah, sharky world.
Yeah, and that it comes down to I hear what you're saying, but I don't, but prove it to me. You got.
Well, here's the difference. In 2004, 5, and 6, there were loan products that this cup of coffee would be able to get that for that. That is not the case, and I explain that all the time to folks that are worried about this implosion happening again, and it's not. And generally what will happen in a case like that $50,000 more than likely is going to be cash, right? Because it's not going to appreciate $50,000 in that time frame, and the appraisal isn't going to match. So if there is an implosion, all they're doing is losing cash, right?
Right, but to that point, it's like if she had the buyer that was going to make the $50,000 over offer.
Why didn't they buy
30 days ago?
Yeah,
Bing, bing.
a month ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, why didn't they buy it a month ago?
Yeah, but they may not have been in the market a couple days ago. Look,
the people who are doing that, who are making those offers, are these are in those markets are the same people that I have been driving up first time or taking primary residence off the table because it's big investment firms who are going and pulling that money and purchasing those homes.
So this is
the only
Wall
way-
Street.
There's no way. So that money either existed or it didn't exist. So the agent either had the buyer at the time and didn't execute, or they don't really. It's not real.
She follows, and Ivy, you get in the mix here. Anything you want to go, any you want to add on this conversation? 2 parts. I'm going to add what the mom just followed. 3 condos sold in this exact building for over $500,000 in the last 3 weeks. She got hers for $450. Is it $450 you got it for? Just confirm that. But 3 in the last 3 weeks have sold for over $500. So it just shows you how competitive the market is. I mentioned to him off air, we got over the weekend a cold call, knock on the door. The folks in our neighborhood understand that I do this talk show, and that I also like to make deals. Cold called, knock on the door, cash offer on our house. That is hand in the air, Boy Scouts honor, cold call, knock on the door, cash offer on our house.
My
what are you doing here?
My mouth
What
to
is
God
happening
ear.
here?
You didn't accept
Yeah.
it?
Oh, my wife is in love with our house here. I would have accepted it in a heartbeat.
Where would you go? That's the question.
I mean, so jump in here. Speak to the competitive nature of the market and how homes are appreciating. $435 she got the condo for. The mom just said, right, $435.
That was the
Sounds
other
like she
one's
did
2
well then.
beds.
Sounds like she got a great deal.
did.
But
She
where
already
does she
made a lot of
go
money.
what's the incentive to turn around and
So-
sell it at that point?
So let's talk about that. What's the tools, Ivy, that we have available to us to help Jerry, right? Jerry accepted this offer. Jerry wants to move. What's the tools that we have in our toolbox to help Jerry do this? Right? And you have any tools in your toolbox to do that?
To help with,
So
What do you mean?
Jerry just accepted this offer, right? Now he needs to go
He needs
find
a
another house. What's the tools that we can help him with as agents to help Jerry stay in his house?
Please don't say complimentary. What was the term? Complimentary seller possession.
I've been
We're trying to get a
actually
lease back.
meaning to talk about that since that came up. So
Yeah.
at some point, I'm going to dig into
Jason
it.
Kirby, have
Yeah.
you heard complimentary seller possession?
no, just lease back.
Yeah, well now it's such a, I'm gonna get it, this is so freaking crazy, this still blows my mind, dude. People are selling their homes and staying in their homes for 60 days, getting the money from their buyers, staying in their homes for an additional 60 days after getting the bag of money from their buyers, and not kicking their buyers any money.
So
Complimentary seller
I've
possession.
been meaning to jump into this for weeks. Why can they do that, Scott? You know exactly why they can do that. What happens when I sign a loan? How much time do I get before my first mortgage payment comes in?
They've got 2 months, but typically 45 days, depending on.
So that's important. So it's really not costing. It's really not costing the buyer.
Yes,
any-
it is.
No, it's
Where's the
not.
buyer gonna live?
No,
Is the
because-
buyer gonna go to a hotel?
Well, they're going
Are
to.
they, can they get the same deal on their house?
But
Are they
the-
gonna find a 2-month rental?
The point I'm trying to make is they're not making 2 mortgage payments.
You don't
or
know
2
that.
rent it's not normally when you close that.
So
Let Scott
to
jump
me,
in
the
on
bigger
that.
thing is this: like, what if you agree to it? What's the difference between that and agreeing to have paid $6,000 more, depending
Yeah.
on the price point for the property? Like, it's just something else. If it helps you win and you're okay with it, then that's.
Unless they're going to a hotel.
This is where it depends.
Does that work for everybody?
No.
Like, if you cannot make that offer, then if you can make the offer, then it's not it's not something that affects you. If you can't make the offer and you're living in a hotel, that sounds like a pretty poor choice on your part.
So I'm going to add a little bit to this real quickly. So every single one of I was looking at client for homes in Charlottesville up to 750. And it was a half a dozen of them. Every one of them in the listing, in the agent's notes said that basically they're only going to accept offers allowing the seller to stay in the home for 3, 6, one of them was 120 days.
So
120 days.
crazy.
That's a long time.
That is so
120
crazy
days.
right now.
120 days.
Anywhere you
And
want to
by
go
the way,
on this,
that was the
Ivy.
one that had 15-minute showings.
That one would fail. Like if they put that in the listing and then it showed up in underwriting, that would be like, the buyers need to take occupancy. That's not going to work.
But telling people why, because that's important. Most folks do not know why.
Because they got to make a mortgage payment.
Yeah, because they.
Well, but it's also most mortgages don't allow, right?
They have to take occupancy of the house.
That's exactly
Those are
right.
government. Those that's what comes along.
So when you sign all your
Because
documents.
that would then not be a primary, right?
Correct.
That's not a
No.
primary residence
Correct.
in that case.
Yeah.
Ivy, you jump in here. Anything you want to cover on? Are you hearing complimentary seller possession? Are you hearing lease back? I mean, anything you want to go on this topic?
Yes, and I've put it in offers. I've put it in my own offer, actually.
For you personally?
Yes.
Can we talk about that? We don't have to if you don't want to.
Yes. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Little detail.
Please.
But, yeah, and I did get it, and
So you bought a house?
yes.
You're under contract? Dude, this businesswoman has had a killer month. You closed 4 deals and you're buying yourself a house?
Yeah, my mom's probably like, "Why are you saying?"
Dude, can I give you another high five for that? This is legit.
Yeah.
But I did put so my lease.
She had a
ends-
listing appointment yesterday. Also.
Is that true?
Yeah, I did. For me, my lease is ending mid-June, and it worked out that we'd close at the end of next month, and they want to be out in the end of May, and so sure.
Are you charging
Stay.
them?
Just utilities.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
you're
I don't
making
mind because
basically.
I don't have to make the payment yet. And
Well,
then-
that's the point I was
Yeah,
Well,
trying
and
to
you knew
exactly.
you had to do that, didn't you? Mm-hmm. You knew you had to do that.
I did, yeah, and it's in there if you actually read the loan documents.
Well, that's the point
You
I'm trying
actually
to.
read.
That's what I'm saying. That's the point I'm trying
Yeah.
to make. Is generally your first monthly payment is not due for between 30 to 60 days after you sign it, so you're not paying 2 payments for 2 months. You're just
Right.
having them pay your utilities.
And I think, I mean, if you can do that, and it worked out absolutely perfectly for me, those terms are really helpful. And, you might not be the highest in offer, but if you can make it easier for the seller, and it's still easy for you as the buyer, then, yeah.
So Scott,
Do it.
when is the length of time before they must take possession?
Typically, it's 60 days.
60 days.
That is bananas here. So you want to add something to this before we get to comments?
I think we kind of covered this pretty well. What else we got?
So this one's come in from King of Waynesboro, Kevin Yancey, who says, how many of the deals have you done that had either no appraisal or no inspection? For you? Yeah.
Yes, I have waived inspections. I like to do, I like to suggest pass-fail because I don't actually suggest waiving it. And you do have to mention that because you cannot be liable for that. So a quick turnaround, I've done 3-day pass-fail inspections, and I had someone lined up for that before we even put the offer in. So that has been critical for me.
So one of the tools that we're using, that's the reason why this 15 minutes is kind of not working for us, is what we would do is if a home that a client likes, they go through the digital curbside. They say, this is it. This is the one I want to chase. We'll bring a home inspector with us as we're doing it. And as we're seeing the home inspector will take a look at it, and their eyeball inspection or the visual inspection will probably catch something, and we have a conversation afterwards on that end of it, which then allows us not to make an offer without a home inspection because we've kind of preliminarily done one at that particular
Yeah.
point. 15 minutes is impossible to do that.
So this one's come in. Thomas Leroy. We love you, Thomas Leroy, watching the program right now.
Oh,
What's the occupancy percentage in Charlottesville proper right now? Anyone have that? Occupancy percentage. How many homes are available in Charlottesville proper right now?
Oh, God, I
not
had
looked it
those
up.
numbers yesterday. Active, oh, God.
I know,
Is
I
that,
should.
I think it
is
was
that what you posted on social yesterday?
I did actually. Thank you for checking that out. But that's the whole car footprint. I did not break it down by Charlottesville. I apologize.
Let's see if I can find that. It's pretty tight, you would say.
Yeah. I can tell you, I pulled Lake Monticello's. Lake Monticello's is up to, hold on a second, got it right in front of me.
So is it the graph with what's on the
Yeah.
market and what's coming off?
Yeah, correct, yeah.
You want me to read it off?
Sure, please. 19 at Lake Monticello, by the way.
So
As of today.
in the car footprint, new on the market 97, but 98 went pending.
Correct.
So that's a negative.
It's It's pretty close. I mean, it's one digit off on it, right? If I remember the numbers
Yeah.
right, yeah. So, but that's thank you. That's the full car footprint. So that's Charlottesville, Albemarle, Nelson, Green, Charlottesville, and Louisa. I think if I got them all right on that end of it. So, I mean, we can dig into it and take a look at it. We just don't have that data in front of me. But it's a handful, right? It's a handful,
Yeah.
and then it's a handful that are only a few days on the market, right? I mean, I'm just looking at Lake Monticello because I ran it this morning, which is encouraging. I mean, 2 weeks ago we were in single digits actives. Today we're at 19. So normal somewhere in the 60s and the 70s on that end of it. But in reality, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of them that are under 30 days on the market. So all the rest are over 30 days on the market, which kind of means this: either it's overpriced, not the right location, not the right features, or not the right conditions on that end of it.
How about this one from Grayson for Ivy? Can you tell us about the house you're under contract with? How'd you find it? How competitive was it? And what made you want to purchase this house?
I'm not sure how much I'm supposed to say about this, but
I'll keep you out of trouble. Keep it going.
yeah, okay. So it's out in Afton, and there were only, I think, 3 houses available out in Afton this weekend. So I knew it would be competitive, and I was not in the housing market at all. I was thinking about maybe buying in a couple years, but I did see, with rent increasing, I think it's, even with these interest rates increasing, I still think it's better to buy and be paying off your own mortgage than to be paying rent to someone else's mortgage.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Great time. Still low interest rates in the scheme of, overall, historically.
Rents went up 12.5%.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here, got an email, thank you, Jerry, from Channel 29 to talk about rent increases after this show, so smart move. I did run what came active just today in the last 24.
Did she finish?
I apologize.
Yeah.
I apologize.
Yeah.
My hearing aids, I
Yeah.
apologize.
No problem. But yeah, so this house that's the area I wanted to be in. I've always dreamt of being out in the mountains, to be like near the hiking and the vineyards, and it was the perfect size. So I just went for it. I put my best foot forward, using all that I have learned in this year for putting the best offers to make it the best offer possible. And it was a lot of planning. My mom and I we're going back and forth of like we were changing things for like the 2 days that we had to do that.
Did you incentivize the deal by you're representing yourself, by waiving your 3% commission? Saving these sellers 3%?
My company will not allow that, so no.
So that's a little bit of a slippery slope.
Yeah,
So
I don't-
let's quantify that real quick so we don't get ourselves into too
Yeah.
much trouble.
Right.
So the listing price is a contract between the seller and the selling broker. Us as agents can't do that.
Yeah.
The seller can do it, but we can't do that.
Yeah.
So what were you jump in here, Keith? What did you want to say?
Abby, I apologize.
It's okay.
I'm getting new hearing aids and I didn't quite hear you. So I just ran, just for the heck of it, thinking this would come up, what came on the market in the last 24 hours in that footprint. So what came on the market in the last 24 hours was 22. 2 of them are in Charlottesville. 104 Stratford Court and 747 West Street, both of them north of 400, 420 and 467 is the list price. So in the last 24 hours, only 2 came on the market, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the 22 was in Albemarle County, just to put a context.
Inventory tight. Where are you seeing deals come across your desk, and what zip codes? I issue that each week. Any change, Scott Morris?
I've seen again more stuff in your more outskirts of your highly populated areas. I'm seeing, and I think I've got somebody who's about to list a yurt, which I'm super excited about.
Oh, cool.
What?
A yurt.
Oh, cool.
What's a yurt?
It's like a
round.
Yeah, it's like a roundhouse.
Glamping?
Round.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But this is something that
Yeah.
that sold originally 3 years ago for like $100,000, and it's there's actually comps out there. So
Can you lend on that?
yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How's that?
I mean, it's
Doesn't have a foundation.
I think that so technically it does have a foundation.
Oh, really?
We're not talking about like a legitimate like stick mud, but I'm calling it a yurt. It's probably a little. It's not quite unique. There's some, it's I think one bedroom is how we would
Probably
Is
more
there
a
a
tiny
bathroom?
house than
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is than a
Yeah,
yurt.
there's a bathroom. There's a bathroom.
So a yurt is like a tent, just happens to be on a.
It's a little more
No,
sturdy
so
than
it's
that.
like it's got like it's walls. We'll call
Well,
it.
I know
we'll
my
call it the
Seattle
roundhouse.
daughter
We'll call it the
loves them,
roundhouse.
and that's what she stays in all the time.
All right. But so seeing stuff like that being, I mean, I think it'll sell for close to $200,000. So twice what it was purchased for 3 or 4 years ago.
That's bananas.
It is banana. Oh,
A
yeah.
tent.
So was I had a conversation with a friend of mine about they got a deal at Lake Monticello 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago at like $160,000, and he's like, "What do you think it's worth?" I said, 295, 310, somewhere in there. And he's like, "What?" And like just blown away. I was like, "That's fine, dude. If you just go take a look, call me back." And next day he's like, "All right, wow, that is pretty accurate, it looks like." I was like, "Yeah, that is pretty accurate." So-
Wow. How about this one for Ivy that's come in from Kelsey, who routinely watches the show? So with the 4 deals she's closed and the house that's under contract or about to be under contract with the listing that she mentioned and her personal residence, can she put in perspective total cash flow that she's done in the last 3 weeks? That's a great
Is
question.
that personal? I don't.
On all your deals.
Total cash. I don't.
Not that
Volume.
you made. Volume. That's what Kelsey means,
Okay.
is volume.
Thank
yeah.
you. Okay.
Good,
I
go,
think
good girl.
I
by the
know.
way. Good girl.
So sorry. I would say that is over 1.5 million.
Very nice.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, with
So that's gross sales. This is what your gross sales are.
Total
This is-
volume.
Total volume
Yeah.
on that is 1.1, almost 2 million,
about
right?
1.5. Yeah.
Oh, good for you. Congratulations. That is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome in year one. And look, this is only the first quarter.
Yeah.
I know.
And the spring season is kicking in pretty hard, right? It's been a little bit of a struggle the beginning of this year between weather and
Right.
inventory, but as you're starting to look at it, and as I mentioned earlier, a couple of weeks ago, Lake Monticello was in a handful of homes on the market. Now we're at 20, so that's a good
Yeah,
step
that's great.
forward.
Do we expect, and Scott, you jump in here, Ivy, you jump in, Keith, you jump in, do we expect inventory to free up? I'm seeing that on multiple pages right now, people asking.
I think we see more going, I think we kind of see very much like what we've been through for the past 90 days going forward, which means ebbs and flows. We get pockets of listings that come on. I think we really get into the fall before we see things start to normalize a little bit as far as what we'll call par or better as far as listings coming on without pendings exceeding that.
What do you think, Ivy? Good answer.
Yeah, I agree, and I think people want to take advantage of this market while it's still hot. So hopefully we'll see more listings come.
Yeah,
on.
just like talking to the friend of mine at the lake, and then it comes. Where do I go from here? Like, I'm not getting another, swipe at $160,000. It's going to double in 5 years, but But are you getting something that meets your needs better for where you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask a question of Scott. Haven't done this in a month. What's your mortgage applications looking like?
Pretty steady. I mean, we've, if not increased, from we're finishing out the month. So yeah, we're even if you count the day difference, we're probably 10 or 15% higher than we were in February.
So that's a better litmus of where the market is going than what we're seeing, because the way the market has changed, most folks are now, a year or 2 years ago, 4 years ago, people wouldn't be talking to Scott first to get pre-approved and all this kind of great stuff. They would start looking at houses, find the house that they like, and start working that backwards. Now, I know, Ivy, if you're going to take somebody out, the first question you're going to ask, are you qualified? Right. I mean, not
Right.
in those exact words,
Right.
but you're going to make sure the buyer is qualified and pre-approved, because that's going to put your client in
Have
the
you
best.
talked to a lender? Do they have a letter
Right.
for you? You know.
Correct.
What's that conversation you're having like, Ivy?
Well, I just ask them if they've met with a lender, because a lot of buyers don't know how much they can afford, how much house they can really afford with, how much they make, and they're new to this, or with interest rates, that changes some things. And yeah, I just give them some recommendations and have them look into that before we really get serious.
Scott, anything you want to add? Ross Mortgage right there.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like halfway paying attention to see if like this U.S. the 10-year, 2-year flip. But
Talking about an inverted yield curve right now.
yeah. So
And what does that indicate?
it indicates the R word. Historically, and in the lender world right now, what it indicates is there's a lot of nervousness that the Fed will put its thumb back on the scale before they think, from an investor side, like purchase of mortgages, that rates could actually fall going into next year. But what I think is not being considered is everybody thinks things happen faster than they do, and inflation is going to continue. And the Fed's going to have to make these increases through the end of this year, which means everything that people are projecting happening is going to
2023.
Yeah. Or 2020, late 2023 probably.
Yeah, correct. So mortgage applications are picking up. That's a great indicator of it. And I was just going back looking what just came on the last 24 hours in Albemarle counties. 7 of the total, I think it's 14 if I got my count right, were coming soons. So these are the ones that are actually not hit the market yet. These are the ones that are being out there, like you do with the lead-in, with the hot mics before we go into the camera. So it's tapping real estate agents on the shoulder, saying, "Hey, look, we've got something coming on the market on a certain particular day." How do you feel about that? Do you use that as a tool? How do you use that to help your clients?
Yeah, I do offer, like if I'm acting as listing agent, I do offer that suggestion that we could do a coming soon, because it gets the excitement stirring and people starting to schedule their showings.
That's a hot topic.
Yeah.
Coming soon with Carr.
It is. And also.
And how it's used.
Yeah.
And that's what that conversation with Mrs.
Yeah.
Mrs. Tripp is going to be in two Fridays from
What are
now.
your thoughts?
Well, I mean, I think it's 2 weeks you have.
It's 14 days.
Is it 14? Yeah, 14 days to be in the coming soon status. I've used that before. I've used all 14 days, and I don't know if that's the best thing to do, because you get people excited, and then 2 weeks is a long time, and it's kind of forgotten, and there might have been something else that came up. I do like seeing it a couple days in advance. I think that's been working well. But there's been this whole, on the Carr Facebook page, this discussion recently about, just how listings are being marketed in this one weekend.
That's the
Time
conversation
frame.
we're having with Sasha
Okay.
Tripp on
So we
Friday.
can
So please
save
tune
that.
in.
Yes.
I'm excited about
This
that.
Friday?
No, next Friday.
Okay.
I think the 8th, if I got my days right on
Yeah.
that end of it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and the impacts on that. But I'm going to flip it around a little bit. How do you use coming soon for your buyer, as a tool for your buyer?
Well, the great thing about coming soon is that it's only seen by us. So if you are not working with Realtor and you're just on Zillow, you won't see that, and it's not in the public.
What about all the
So-
coming soons that I see on social?
So that's a different story.
Yeah. Those look like listings to me. How they're
100%.
positioned
Like
on
I'm
social.
reading them. I'm like,
Yeah, this looks like an active listing.
100%.
But
But I'm not in the business. I
it's
just have a
not, and
microphone.
but it's not, and that's the
Okay.
that's the goofy part of
Dude,
it.
when does the association realize that social media is reaching more people than the MLS itself?
That's exactly right. So what that does is that now
Because I know that.
I'm Ivy's client, right? And I see it on social media on that end of it.
I mean, I'm calling agents like, yo, have you taken such and such to see this?
Yeah.
And like every time.
well, you can't
Well,
take them to. Yeah, that's the problem. It's so
We're in a group chat in the neighborhood, my wife is, and there's, I don't know, 80 some moms in the group chat in the neighborhood. And they're not sharing the MLS listings. They're sharing the post on social
Yeah.
media on the list, on the group chat. It's not the MLS.
That is correct. But the problem is not the but the issue is that the home by the rules cannot be shown until it goes active. So what happens is if I am Ivy's client, so let's talk this through. I'm Ivy's client. I see posted on I Love Charlottesville, or I see posted on Keith's Facebook page or Scott's Facebook page or any realtor's Facebook page, and I say, "Hey Ivy, this house just hit Facebook. I want to get to go see it." How's that conversation look?
I tell them, let me look into it, and I usually in the agent's notes will find some information on when it's going to.
Oh, it's required. It has to be in the
date's
agent
on
notes.
there. Yeah, and sometimes you can set up appointments early. Sometimes you can't. Depends. And we'll just try to get on the schedule and keep it in our minds for when it does come active and go see it.
So this whole Facebook conversation, which we're going to have on the 8th, part of it, it's kind of a double-edged sword, right? Because the way the market is now, so Ivy's getting ready to go show a listing. I'm sure it's going to be a hot listing. I'm sure you're going to get it because you're a rock star and all that stuff. But part of the conversation you have to have with your client, with your future client there is okay, we're going to have to ask you to move out for a couple of days, right? Because this is the way this is, right? And that's a component of
How so?
Well,
Walk me through that.
well, I'll let Ivy walk you through
Yeah.
because she's
Well-
about ready to give a presentation about it.
You ask them to move out?
No, I don't do that. But
Some people do, though.
Almost. It just there have been suggestions to go on like a weekend vacation.
Because there's that many shows.
Some people can't
If
do
you have
that.
showings booked from morning to noon, morning to night, every 15 minutes, the seller cannot be at the house.
Right, especially if you're doing the active Friday showing through Sunday. It's just going to be packed with showings and open house. And so, I mean, it's just easier if the seller just leaves, and otherwise you have to keep contacting
I've got a
the
beach
seller
house
each
they can
time.
go rent.
What?
Yeah.
I've got a beach house they can go rent.
Check
Yeah.
Scott's Facebook
Yeah.
page.
That's a great business idea. I need
Yeah.
to get an investment property.
I know someone that
Send
can help you
everyone.
finance it. Yeah, that's where he's right there.
Absolutely.
Finish your thought. Go ahead.
I think I did finish.
But that's a conversation you have to
Yeah.
have with your client, right? If it's a hot property that's
Yeah,
going
it
to have
doesn't-
multiple showings, okay, how do you want to do this, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, right? And they're in charge, right? The seller is in charge, not us, not the market. The seller makes the decision on how they wish to proceed with this, but some of them, if it's vacant, it's a whole different story,
Oh, that's
right?
easy, yeah.
But it's an interesting conversation. And back to the pendulum swinging. Eventually, that's going to swing, and it's going to be a different thing. Please get people into my house.
So this is a follow-up from Jennifer. She says, what would just keep us from walking the property ourselves when it's coming soon?
Well, you can't.
Because people might live there.
Yeah,
and
it's
that's
you can't
trespassing.
walk on somebody else's property.
A follow-up to her. They can drive by.
Drive-by is a good thing. So that's a tool that we use all the time to help whittle the list down. Do a drive-by, right? You do your virtual showing, right?
Yeah.
Maybe drive-by is the wrong choice of words, Scott.
No, that's good. I've actually been run off of someone's land before, so you can do it, but you should expect some repercussions.
Yeah.
Maybe not drive on the driveway.
Yeah, but it's
just drive on
you,
the road.
Scott.
Yeah.
She adds this, we're actually knocking on their doors and asking to see the properties ourselves when we see coming soon. That takes a little hustle and chutzpah there.
Yeah. People don't generally like it when you show up.
Yeah.
Randomly.
Yeah, I mean, I was
That's
in a
what she said.
showing and people just showed up. And since I was the only agent there, I had to make sure that they, didn't walk into the property, and because then I become responsible with these people here. So it just puts everyone in an
So
Sticky spot.
difficult
be
situation.
very careful where you
Yeah.
do that, because most HOAs have no solicitation rules, right? So, Lake Monticello, for instance, has one. So if somebody knocks on your
They
door,
couldn't get in the gate.
Seriously.
Yeah. Is that a Lake Monticello confusing?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what that was right there.
getting in the gate isn't as difficult as one thinks.
Well, you have to find the right gate.
Yeah, totally.
The-
Finish your thought.
Yeah, you go into the pro shop to have lunch. They have to let you in, right? I mean, it's open to the public, but it's just when you start knocking on doors, you have to be a little careful that you are
Word of caution, Jennifer, is what you're saying.
Word of caution. That's
Word of caution, you're saying to Jennifer. Your page is blowing up. Scotty Shuit, giving you props. Your boy Jason Taylor.
Hey, Jason. Love you, brother.
Joe Del Pupo, is that right? Stephen Gardner. Kathy Clark Gelbert.
Hi.
The Armstrong family is well represented here with Gracie and
Yeah.
Susan.
It's my aunt.
K-Shop Shaw,
Kasha.
watching the program
Kasha
right now.
needs to buy that investment property.
Oh, you want to? Can we see you
I'm just
close?
saying.
Can we see you make a deal here?
Come on, Kasha.
The investment property. You're going to close the deal on the hook. So this question is for Scott. And I'm sure you get this all the time here. Scott, will rates drop back once the Fed has inflation under control?
So that's kind of what I'm referencing with this whole inverted 2-year, 10-year, and timelines. So even let's say the 10-year's been so artificially deflated that I don't think that. I think it should actually be higher than what it really is. So I think the signal for recession is probably premature. Now, let's say that it sticks. Let's say the 2-year gets to like 3%. We get like a 50 bip difference that lasts for a few months. I think that's dangerous. But
and so let's talk about the impact on mortgage rates when it hits 3% or.
So, well, if the U.S. 10-year gets to 3%, we'll be in a 6% market. But what the danger is right now is people don't think that this is going to hold, and it may not. But I think it's going to hold longer than what the prediction is. So for borrowers, that could get expensive because just getting in the game, it could cost them something to lock at any rate if the investors on the other side don't think that that mortgage will hold for 12 or 24 months because they're certain it's going to, the Fed puts its thumb back on the scale and they could refinance to a lower rate, in a year or two.
So that's why I wanted to start with the lock and shop program that you have. That is so important right now, so you can lock in a rate. And if I heard it right, if it goes down, your rate goes down. Is that correct?
We choose 120 days.
Within 120 days.
You can float down in the last 14.
So Ivy's just hired me, vice versa. I just hired Ivy to help.
Good for you.
Help to go.
She's a talented professional.
There you go. To go ahead and.
I hear she's closed 4 deals in the
Her
last 21
deals.
days. Yeah.
That's right. And walked some land, which was awesome. But I can hire.
And bought her own house.
And bought her own house.
We can follow you around if you need to here.
So Ivy, I'm not worthy. So,
Yes, you are.
but I can hook up with Scott, lock in a rate on some number, right, that's out there, and then I can start going finding homes, right? So I can say, right, I'm looking to buy, I'm just picking a number, $300,000 house. You're going to lock me in a rate at 300, part of my pre-approval process.
Correct.
I got this right? Then I'm going to connect with Ivy and say, let's go look at houses, and I've got this ability to say, well, this is not the right house. I'll wait for another house. I know I'm protected 30 days, 60 days from now.
Right, and let's say you know that you're going to be purchasing at 325. You know what those numbers are. When you go look at the next property, the only thing we're really checking to see is there an HOA and is there a significant tax difference because maybe it's in one county versus the next.
Or it's $10,000 more and you revise everything.
But we are dialed into a payment at that point. Like that the rate's not going to change and affect that for you. So, and some people have a lot of anxiety about that, and rightfully so in what we've seen in the last 3 months.
So Ivy, that's a great question for you. How many buyers you talk to, their anxieties about interest rates? That's what they're focusing on. Are they focusing more on interest rates or what they can buy?
It's a mixture of both, but recently it's been turning towards interest rates because what they were looking for, or the houses they were looking at in the fall.
They can't afford now.
Especially if somebody was pre-approved then, and they were like, you could be at 2.875, 3%, and then in the course of 90 days, now we're having a 4.75, 5% conversation. It's
Right.
That's substantial.
Yeah.
Substantial. And then you add, which we've highlighted on the show, the assessment increases, the tax increases, property tax increases, the gasoline, the groceries, and the monthly bills are like a hell of a lot more now than last year.
I just want to give a little kudos to you and the show and what we're doing. If you take a moment and read some of the Fluvanna County Board of Supervisors thing, you know what they're talking about more than tax rate? Personal property tax.
It's going to be 25% increase on that car that you have, that we all have. The big truck my boy has over here. Yeah, it's going to be. And you brought this to our attention. I mean, we saw Commissioner of Revenue Todd Divers talk about this, and then we talked about it on a show, and then I was like, good God, this is going to be a significant problem for people.
Yeah, no, it's there's a huge expense there. I mean, when you put it all together, it's a bottom line. It really eats into what people have to do. Where are they going on vacation now? Like look at all the little choices that it affects because of all this. It's kind of like in our business, you get all these vampires, trying to say I can sell you leads here, or I can make your process more streamlined with whatever my sexy CRM is on top of what you're getting from your company. So just in your personal life, the government is eating into your ability to spend your money.
Amen. Well said. How about a message to, you got a lot of agents watching here. First, let's get to Mustache Dan Pettit's comments. Real Estate 3's Dan Pettit. He has this comment, and then we'll have some closing thoughts for you guys. On the 15-minute showings, is it the seller that's just agreeing with the listing agent, or is it the listing agent that's pushing this and putting it into play?
We're not in the room for those discussions, so that's.
He says, "How can you see a house in 15 minutes?"
Yeah. It's to me, it's just too short period of time on that end of it.
Hey, at least we're doing 15-minute showings instead of this Zoom
virtual tours.
That
during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Sight unseen purchases. Oh my gosh, that was happening. Yancey asked this question for Ivy, Scott, and Keith. How many homes are not appraising for the price, going over asking, and the deals are still happening?
I'll jump in on that. I'm not seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing the appraisals hitting. What are you seeing, Scott?
I see them hit. I mean, it depends on the house, the offer, everything. For instance, I've got one in Virginia Beach right now that missed by like 10 grand. The seller's lowered by 5. She's gonna bring
another 5 grand in and make the deal happen.
Then again, I think the property's huge. The offers make a big difference. For the most part, don't see a lot of big misses. I will, while I have the opportunity.
But that was commonplace a few months back.
Yeah, so
6 months back.
Yeah, we did see some stuff that got tight for a little while. The appraiser makes a difference. Specifically, let's talk about VA and appraisals and shorts. So for listing agents or people who think that it is not the best product, it is the only thing that gives you the opportunity, one, warning shot with Tidewater, get your comps together, let's make an argument against it. Then if it truly does come in short and we think it's just a bad appraisal based on adjustments or poor comps, I can then take that information, we can go to the VA, we can get a reconsideration of value. This is something that is frequently won if we have the tools to go up against them with it.
Are you seeing any pushbacks on VA loans from sellers?
I see agents who maybe don't understand that it's really a better product than the conventional product that's up against. Especially if I can go, all right, look, here's a guy that's got $500,000 in a thrift savings plan. How much does the other guy have if he's putting 20% down and has to pay his closing costs to pay the difference in the appraisal? And then do we have the tools on top of that to go fight the appraisal, which you're not going to get on the conventional side?
Bravo.
So as a disabled vet and you as a vet, it's very interesting because we are protected classes. Right, and fair housing veterans. You can't reject a home because it's a veteran. It's a violation of fair housing. So it's a really interesting thread on how that works.
Prove at the end of the day, it comes.
You got to prove it, of course. So, I have to ask you a question. You're going on a listing today. Tell me how you got that listing appointment. Tell us the secret sauce on how you, if you wish.
It was yesterday.
I'm sorry.
It was
she already did it.
Yes.
It was yesterday.
It
Good.
was
So
yesterday.
how did you get that?
Well, that was actually a friend. So
Cool.
You know.
Well, that's good. So this is
but
all.
they think of me, which is nice.
Sounds
of
like you
them.
got that locked in, right? Did you?
I'm hoping. Yeah, if she wants to sell, then
Very nice.
hopefully she'll use me.
Very nice.
But yeah,
In the city of Charlottesville, Albemarle County?
Albemarle.
Okay. I have a
So
feeling
you
that
were
would
on the
go
right
quickly.
track. According to NAR, 97% of all transactions are referrals, right? So well
That's what
done.
I'm
Yeah,
trying.
she grew up here.
Well done.
Yeah, and she's active
Yeah.
on social.
Well
Ricardo Cruz Duran, great job, everyone. Love the hot topic conversations. And we're seeing that from everybody. How about some closing thoughts here? We'll start with Scott Mortgage Morris. on some,
Ricardo, thanks for chiming in.
Yeah.
You did a great job when you were here with the Herpes. Saw that, loved it. Love to connect later on. I think this week is the same thing that I said last week, and Ivy talked about it. It's, what got your people across the finish line? It is don't give up. Go make good offers. Don't be disenchanted because you didn't get exactly what you wanted the first time you asked for it. Like, keep going. That, to me, is the number one thing in all of this, and that just doesn't have to do with real estate. If you've, whether, it's the gym and an injury or, what's going on in your personal life, just, dude, there's more in front of this. Don't be dissuaded because things didn't work out the first time.
Keith Smith.
Success is 99% perseverance. So
Grit,
persevere.
baby. Grit.
Grit, persevere. The other thing for the agents out there, times are changing. To quote Bob Dylan, get some education, get prepared for the market that's going to be happening in 2023.
Oh, also, one more thing. I'm going to throw it out there because I forgot last week. I'll be at Taste Shack for lunch after this because you've got amazing sandwiches.
Justin Vanderlyn. Always mess up his last name, but Justin's got a fantastic restaurant, Taste Shack. Ivy, show is yours.
Yes. Don't give up. If you want a house, you can find one. It's a great time to sell, but also still a really great time to buy, and it's always better than renting.
You killed it.
Awesome.
So Ivy, you were a little nervous in the beginning. We're an hour 15 into it. Did you think we were lasting that long?
It went by fast.
Did you have fun?
So
I did.
please come back.
You were great.
Please
Seriously.
come back.
Keith Smith, Scott Morris, Ivy Haines. I'm Jerry. This is Judah Wickower, our director, and this is Real Talk on a Wednesday, presented by Ross Mortgage. Ross Mortgage, guys. Real Talk on a Wednesday. Reach out to Scott to help you navigate these tumultuous and interesting waters that we call the housing market in Central Virginia. Thank you kindly for joining us. The I Love Seville show is up in 57 minutes. Take care, guys. Oh, he will tell me.